Hole 1 Maxwell's is played from an elevated tee that provides spectacular views across Western Port to Phillip Island and Bay Strait. This short par 4 will tempt the longer hitters to have a crack at the green, however predominant wind off Bay Strait blowing across the fairway will punish the errant tee shot. The more conservative player will play a fairway wood or middle iron into a narrow landing area, leaving a short approach to a heavily bunkered green. Pros tip: short par 4 to ease you into your round. Classic risk and reward as it invites you have a go at the well-guarded green. Hole 2nd St Andrews is one of the more testing holes on the course. Drives need to be left of center to open up a well-guarded green. The green side bunkers and contoured green make getting up and down a real challenge, so they are best avoided if possible. Pros tip: tough tee shot with out of bounds down the left side and a fairway bunker on the right. Approach shot is into narrow entrance guarded by bunkers on either side. Hole 3 West Head is a long par 3 playing every inch of its yardage, especially on the days when the prevailing headwind is blowing. Tee shots landing short should favor right of center as the fairway slopes from right to left. Pros tip: long par 3 with all the trouble pin high and beyond. Par is more easily achieved if short of the green rather than long. Hole 4 The Coffin is Flinders' best-known hole, designed in 1926 by Dr. Alistair Mackenzie. On Navy training days, cannon fire provides an additional hazard. Pros tip: risk and reward personified here. Almost as if the flag is waving at you, enticing you to have a go. It's dead left and long, and there's also 2 coffins to contend with. One is 150 meters from the tee, which swallows any miss at tee shots, and the other just before the green to swallow miss at approaches. Both offer unpredictable lies. Leave the Superman cloak in the bag, play safe, and don't leave yourself a downhill putt. Hole 5 Beach Hole has a magnificent coastal view which makes a loss of concentration a real danger. Played along the cliff top that borders the left-hand side of the fairway, a good tee shot is required to avoid strategically placed bunkers on both sides of the fairway. Longer hitters can attack the green with their second shot, however a 3-pack of grass bunkers at front calls for the strategic play. A wayward slice will be punished by a cluster of greenside traps. Pros tip: reachable par 5, all dependent on the tee shot. Tight driving hole with out of bounds on left side and lots of fairway bunkers to catch your ball. Take time to enjoy the view on your left-hand side. Hole 6 The Hill. When a southeasterly breeze is blowing, swooping hang gliders provide a unique backdrop to this hole. A difficult driving hole with a blind tee shot up and over the hill. Best line is right of center to avoid the mounding in the left rough, with any tee shot starting left a good chance to disappear over the cliff top. Take one more club to compensate for an uphill approach, and when on the green, remember the putt will break towards the sea. Pros tip: tough par 4 uphill all the way again with out of bounds on left-hand side. Club selection is key, as approach shots not hit to the middle of green or beyond usually roll back off the sloping green. Hole 7 Casuarina is a beautiful driving hole of a punishing length which justifies its rating as one of the course's hardest. This hole requires 2 solid shots to reach a well-contoured green that provides further challenges before play on this hole reaches its conclusion. Pros tip: great looking long par 4 slightly uphill with difficult tee shot, needing to be long to avoid the dam on the right. Always wise to take an extra club into this green as the uphill slope is deceiving. Hole 8 Pine Gap is a dogleg left. Tee shots must be aimed right of center to avoid bunkers on the left-hand side of the fairway. On approach, take enough club to carry the bunkers on the right-hand side while taking care not to stray left where a grassy swale waits combined with a sand bunker. Pros tip: another great driving hole. Beware fairway bunkers awaiting any ball left side of a sloping fairway on this dog leg left hole, and the green side bunkers on right are a must to avoid. Hole 9 Tea House has a tough shot to a narrow green, bunkered both left and right. This par 3 is at the highest point on the course, and wind consideration is important with club selection. If the tee shot does not bring a smile, look to the right as you leave the tee, and the view will certainly remind you that a bad day on the golf course beats a good day at the office. Pros tip: par 3 at the top of the course, and club selection varies depending on wind. There never feels like there's much wind on the protected tee, but there always is. Much easier to make a 3 if your tee shot is from short of the green. Phil Mickelson can't get up and down from the green side trap left. Hole 10 Dali. A good driving hole that winds its way slightly right with mounds down the left, and where cypress trees positioned on the right collect many errant tee shots. An uphill approach shot to a green that slopes steeply from back to front leaves players who fly the flag a treacherously quick downhill putt. Pros tip: straightforward par 4 with tricky green sloping from back to front. Leave an uphill putt. Hole 11 Fairley Dell is another great short par 4. A blind tee shot is played over a tree-filled dell onto a fairway that slopes downhill towards an enticing set of 3 bunkers. A long iron or 3 would best suited for positioning, then on wards to right-hand dogleg green. A white marker placed over the dell provides a line that keeps tee shots well clear of the out of bounds on the left side of the fairway. Approach shots require skill, and although short in length, the hole is considered par material at best. Pros tip: well protected par 4 which favors the long hitters. Long and down the left side offers the easier approach. Short hitters might prefer laying up down the left side, as green is almost impossible to land anything other than a wedge on if you want the ball to stay on the green. Hole 12 Aunt Sally is our signature hole with a spectacular view from an elevated tee. A small green that requires a precise short iron shot with gentle zephyrs make club selection on this hole difficult. Pros tip: beautiful tee shot fully exposed to the elements. With bunkers front and left, grassy hollows to the right, and a sloping green to the ocean, par is difficult to achieve if the green is missed. Hole 13 Racecourse has the tightest drive on the course. This hole is a solid dogleg left. The drive is played from an elevated tee to a narrow landing area that slopes left to right. Long hitters can cut the corner and be rewarded with a short pitch to the green, however there is no margin for error. For higher handicappers, it is advisable to leave the driver in the bag. A well-contoured green presents further challenges. Par is more easily achieved if short of the green rather than long. Pros tip: tight dog leg left with lots of risk and reward on offer. Drive over the corner of the left trees will allow a short iron in, whereas the short hitters. Hole 14 Shooting Gallery is a deceptively difficult hole with tee shots played from a protected teeing ground being exposed to the wind as they travel closer to the green. The wind is always stronger than anticipated, so take a longer club than you feel is necessary, as the bunkers will swallow most shots landing short of the green. Pros tip: par 3 that can be anything from driver to sand wedge depending on conditions. Better short than long here as trees protect the back end of the green. Hole 15 Siberia. Depending on the wind conditions, this is a long or short par 5. Aim at the fairway bunkers from the tee as they are out of reach of the average golfer. The second shot does not hold many dangers, although the bunker strategically located 20 meters short deflates many attempting to get home in 2. On approach, take an extra club to allow for the elevated green, making sure you avoid the cluster of bunkers short of the green. Pros tip: long par 5 aptly named in the cooler months of the year. The hole is just as you see it and the green can be reached in 2, but is more receptive to a short iron into it. Hole 16 Lambertiana consists of a picturesque tee shot down a fairway lined by cypress trees left, and 3 strategically placed bunkers right, waiting to catch the errant drive. A well-positioned tee shot will ensure an easy approach to the green. Pros tip: a driver isn't always needed as this tight fairway is guarded by pines down the left and 3 bunkers down the right. Wind conditions play a part in the approach. Beware. Hole 17 Lakeside is a strong par 3 that is susceptible to the wind, with the result that it always plays longer than you think. Take care playing this hole, as many a fine round has come unstuck here. A tee shot to the middle of the green still leaves the player the challenge of reading the subtle contours of this green. Pros tip: long par 3 with most of the trouble long. Play short rather than long. Hole 18 Home is a challenging dogleg to complete the round, with a tee shot that must be directed right of center to avoid the fairway trap left. This being accomplished, the iron can be aimed at the heart of the green, with sufficient club taken to avoid the pot bunker's short right. Your final putt will bring to an end to a round played on one of the most picturesque courses in Australia. Pros tip: tough tee shot to an uphill dogleg left fairway, with trouble all around. Lots of cards ruined on this hole. Longer hitter might be advised to lay up with a hybrid to avoid running through fairway into trees. On approach, not many up and downs happen from over the green.